Alright, welcome back. I'm Bill Westlake and this is Lag Demon Programming. We're working on a game here. So far what we have is we have the ability to pick up some apples and they go into our hotbar immediately. We can throw them, but they don't really, they just kind of like fall off of our head. So the first thing we're going to do is fix that so that they shoot out just a little bit. And I'll show you exactly how we're going to do that. First thing we're going to do is open up our, in our items, our, we want to open up our apple, our dropped apple BP. This is the one. And we just want to make a couple of little settings here to make the physics come out better. Here we've got the mass in kilograms not turned on, and I'm going to set this up. Apples don't weigh very much. I'm thinking maybe 10 grams. They might weigh a little more than that. Let's make it 30 grams. And we'll compile and save that. That's the only setting we need to do there under physics. We're just going to give it some actual mass. And then we're going to go back over here and we're going to open up in our character blueprints. We're going to open up our player character. And this is the point here which we spawn. Is this it? Remove items. Yes, this is where we spawn the blueprint that is associated with our item in our inventory, and we spawn it at this location. We get our world location, and we create a transform out of it, and we get the world location of our camera, so it comes off somewhere up around our head. In third person mode, that's probably something else we need to change here. Are we allowing to drop items in third person mode? Well, we'll worry about that in a moment. First, let's set up this impulse. So right after spawning the actor, I'm going to move these over a bit. Right after spawning the actor, we want to add an impulse to it. So we're going to type in add impulse to the mesh, and let me double check that. Yes, but actually, you know what, let me change that. It's not our mesh. We want to pull this return value, so we spawn the actor. We want to pull this off and type in add impulse to the static mesh. All right. Now we're going to be adding the impulse to this static mesh. So let's hook this in and I'll hook this over here. I can bring these back a little closer. All right. This impulse vector is the direction we want the impulse to go in. So we want it to go where we're looking with our camera. So this is the direction we want to go into. We want to get our camera. We want to get the forward vector. And then we want to multiply that by something. If we just plug this in, it'll give it like an impulse of 1, which is not very much. So I think I want to multiply it by about 3. So let's just go vector times, we'll do it vector times float. And we'll multiply this by 3. And we'll plug this vector into our impulse. And that should kind of shoot the apple out a little bit. We can increase that. Let's play it and take a look. We'll make it a little bit bigger here so everybody can see. We'll come here and grab an apple. And we'll look over there somewhere and we'll tap Q. And it just kind of just fell on the ground, didn't it? Q. Alright, did I compile and save? We're adding an impulse. It might be because I increased that. Let's make it about 10. Let's add in an impulse about 10. I think 3 was incorrect because I kind of increased the mass of my apples. Of my apple, yeah. So let's go, well, let's play that again. Make it big so that you can see. Let's grab several of them so we can check them out here. Come on. There we go. We'll throw it over that way. It went a little, kind of went out now. So we'll increase that a little bit, I think. Let's double it to 20. All right, so then we're just increasing the amount of impulse we're applying to it so that the physics operates. We got to grab some apples. And then hit Q. There we go. We're really throwing them now. 20 was probably a bit much. Let's cut that down some. 10 wasn't quite enough. Let's make it 15. And see how that does. We'll play it. Yeah, that's doing better. We're throwing the items out there. Now, there's one other thing I'd like to do if we run it. Well, obviously, they're disappearing too quick, so we don't need them to disappear so fast anymore. So let's go back to our dropped. Do we want to do the dropped apple? Let's set it as a default under items. Let's get our dropped item. And actually, we don't need this anymore. We're not going to make them do the floaty thing. We're just going to leave them on the ground. So the lifetime, let's set that to about 5 minutes. So let's set it to 300 seconds, which is 5 minutes. So now they'll stick around a little bit. And what I'll show you now is that, let's grab some and let's hit Q and toss them out here on the ground. And if we bump into them now, they go flying. So that one went flying, that one went flying, that one went flying. So what I want to do is, after a certain period of time, I want to disable the physics on these and just let them sit there as kind of a placed item in the world so that you can't kick them around and knock them all over the place. All right. So how exactly are we going to do that? We're going to go to our items. And we're going to go to the dropped. We've already got it open. This is the dropped item. Okay, we got rid of that. Here is where we are setting this time. And we're watching for this to be, the time to be greater than the lifetime. So we're already marking time. That's fine. So what I want to do is pull back this event tick. And I'm going to add in here a sequence. I'm going to go ahead and plug that sequence in here and here. And we'll pull it back a little bit. We'll pull these in a little bit. Well, I don't know if I like that. Let's pull them up here out of the way. All right. 1 second. Items, dropped item BP. Okay, good. All right. So we're going to come off of this second sequence. So it's going to do this first and mark the time. Well, it'll do it up to here and mark the time. It'll destroy the actor if it times out, in which case it will not do anything more. But if it goes through here and this fails and it gets another tick, it will actually, it does, I think, these in a sequence on the same tick. So what we can do here is pull off this and make a branch. And what's the condition under which we want to branch? I'm going to pull this down away so we got some room. Well, there's two things we want to do. We want to get this time, I want to create a variable. And the variable I'm going to create is going to be called stop physics time. And we're going to set that to type float. We'll compile. And we'll give this default time of about, I don't know, we'll start with 5 seconds. All right. So what are we going to compare it to? We're going to compare it to this time that we're keeping track of. We're adding up the time from the tick, the delta time from the tick as it goes along. So we're going to get that. And we're going to ask, is time greater than, float greater than float, this stop time physics? All right. So that's one thing we're going to ask. And the other thing that we're going to ask is, of this static mesh right here, we're going to pull this down, get the static mesh. We're going to type in is physics, is simulating physics. All right. So if it's simulating physics and the time's greater than this, so we're going to type in Boolean and type Boolean. We're going to plug both of these in. So what's this saying? It's saying if the time is greater than the stop physics time and we are currently simulating physics, then this branch will be true. So we'll plug this into here, and this branch will be true. So the next thing we're going to do right after that is take the static mesh again. We'll grab the static mesh and we'll say set simulating physics. And we'll go here and we'll set that to false. All right. So what's going to happen? After about 5 seconds, you throw it. After about 5 seconds, it should pretty much have come to a stop by then, and the physics will turn off and you will no longer be able to kick it around, but you'll still be able to pick it up. So and it's going to last for 5 minutes, so we can walk around and do something. Another player could come and pick them up. But these are dropped items, not placed items. We're going to get into item placement at some point, but let's toss these out here. And if we wait about 5 seconds, we shouldn't be able to kick them around anymore. They're still physics items. We kind of get a bump when we run into them, but they're not shooting all over the place when we run into them now. But we can still come up here and pick them up. So we can pick them back up, put them in our inventory, and we can throw them again. There we go. We just throw some items out there on the ground. And after about 5 seconds, we shouldn't be able to bump them anymore. So that's kind of fixed. So now we've got the ability to drop items in the scene. So now that that's working, what we want to do is back over here in our player character base. I think what we want to maybe do is not drop items in third person mode. Let me show you. We go E, collect these, and we go back to third person mode and hit Q. We're kind of throwing them ourselves at our back, and they're bouncing all over the place. Yeah, that's not where we want them coming out, really. There's a couple of different ways we could do this. Instead of, we could allow it, but instead of using the camera location, And the camera world rotation, we could use the character, but then we need to put an offset on this Z upward. Well, it's already offset a couple meters. Make transform. So yeah, let's put in a reference here to we're in the player character base. Let's put in a reference to self, and we'll drop the self into this. We can't. Okay, we can do a get world location of our mesh. Split this struct pin. Using Alt, I'm going to drag this. I'm going to kill these. I guess I could have used Control. Let's put these into here. Let's get rid of this. So I didn't actually need the self reference, but I do need the mesh reference. That gets the world location. Then we want to do the same thing here, but we want to get world. If I can type it right, get world rotation, and plug that into here. We can delete this, and we can get rid of the camera, and we've still got our 2 meter offset. For our impulse, again, we don't want the forward vector. We want the static mesh. So we'll pull down our static mesh again, and we'll get the forward vector. Get forward vector from this. Plug this in here. We can delete these, and if this worked right, that'll apply the impulse based on the direction of that. So basically what I did was I had used the camera before, because in first person mode, that's kind of where we're looking. But so is our mesh. Our mesh is following our camera in that mode, and in third person mode, we don't really want it shooting out of the camera, which is up in the air behind the character. We want it coming out of the character. So that's one way to look at it. Let's go pick these up. We can't pick stuff up in third person mode, but we can now hopefully throw it. Okay, kind of throwing in the wrong direction, isn't it? E. So let's grab these again. Let's do this. So why are we odd? Let's pick all these up. Get a few more. If I'm here, it's going off to the side. Okay, what did I do wrong? Player character base. It's probably related to this impulse. Here's the spawn. That's the spawn actor, impulse, mesh, get forward vector. Interesting. The forward vector of our mesh. Or did we maybe want the capsule component? Let's look at our viewport. Let's go look at our Orisa character here. Where is Orisa B? Oh, it's in blueprints. And here is Orisa BP. Let's look at the viewport. Well, that's her forward vector. That arrow should be the forward vector. Maybe I should have used player character base, event graph. Maybe I should use the capsule component or the arrow component instead of the mesh for this. Well, it's spawning it at the right place. It's maybe I'm doing something. Maybe I did something wrong over here. It's got to be the impulse that's causing that. Mesh get forward vector times 15 into the impulse. Let's do that. Let's try the arrow component. Get forward vector. File, save. Oh, why doesn't it like that? Arrow component. Warning. Doesn't like that. Let's try the capsule component. Put it into the get forward vector. Just get rid of, we can leave that there for the moment. Compile and save that. Let's play it. Grab some apples. Okay, they're going forward now. Okay, so even if we're way back here, it throws it from our character. Even if we're looking this way, we could throw it right at ourselves. Yeah, I like that. That's working pretty good. That's we can drop items in third person mode, but the reason we can't pick up items in third person mode is we have no way to point at what we want. Not easily, and putting crosshairs on this would be very difficult to aim and get where you want. So if you're picking stuff up, we might do something in the future where maybe you get a mouse, you can pick stuff up by clicking on it when you're in third person mode. I don't know. We'll have to think about that one, but this seems to be working pretty good now. And after 5 seconds, they stop and cease to be physics items, so we can walk into them and they don't bounce around. And another player could come and pick those up, so you can give them to players, and the player would do just like this. They would just go up and pick them up, E, and they got them. I really don't like. I'm not fond in games of the automatic pickup when there's dropped items where you like walk over them. And it picks up all the items that it can, fills your inventory with possibly a bunch of junk. That drives me crazy in Minecraft. Is fighting alongside someone, a friend, and yeah, he died and dropped all of his stuff, and I picked it all up, and I had all kinds of junk in my inventory. It was all mixed in with mine. Some of it was valuable and obvious that it was his, but otherwise, I don't care for it. I want to intentionally pick stuff up. So I think that's it for this video. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. If you liked it, hit that like button. If you really liked it, hit that subscribe button. And if you want to get notifications when I upload videos, hit that notify button. Thanks, and I'll see you in the next video.